Alright, hello and welcome everybody back to another Flight Sim Fan video. Today, back home, so I've decided to make another video. Today is going to be the approach section into the ILS G4 left in Pearson. So how to set up an approach properly and how to grab the ILS on final. So I'm going to pause this here. If you've watched the descent video, it kind of leaves us around this area on the Landing 3 arrival. And we're planning 2-4 left, so I'm a little lower than I should be, but I just did it for time's sake. Today I'm at 3,000 feet, and obviously I'm a little too fast, but basically the basic things to any approach setup in any airplane when you're doing IFR is, if you in a list format, you can even write it down for yourself later, and I'll maybe put it in the description, but the first thing you want to grab is the weather. You could do any order, by the way, but this is my order. So first thing to grab is the weather. You're going to want it because that'll determine what runway you're going to be using, right? What approach is in use. So if you grab the ATIS, it'll sometimes say ILS 24 left in use or RNAV or whatever is in use. So you get that information, so it helps you plan. The next thing is your weight, so your landing weight. And in the CRJ, the way to do that, let's say your pilot flying from the right side. So pilot flying would have VNAV, pilot monitoring would have on. So to get a landing weight, you take the fuel that you're going to be at Pearson when you land, which is currently 9,000, but it's probably going to change because I'm paused. So this is the fuel that when I land, I'll be at Pearson. This is current fuel. That's the fuel I'll be at when I land. So I take that weight. Okay, and obviously I just spawned in here, so my zero fuel weight would have been here. 544, I believe it is. And we're at 9440. Okay, so you take your current, you can take your zero fuel weight, which shouldn't change because everything's on the airplane still, hopefully, other than fuel. But that's not calculated for. So 62.5 plus 9,000, basically. I'm just going to round up. So 62.5, I'm just going to go there, 62,500 plus 9,000. We're looking at 71,500 pounds. So we'd round up, we'd use a 72,000 card for our approach setup. So landing weight, 72,000 pounds, right? We'd round up to be conservative. So weather, weight. Now that you got the weight of 72,000, that allows you to, in real life at least, grab your landing weights and, sorry, your landing speeds, your performance. So your V2 go around for that specific landing weight, your VAT for that specific landing weight, and then your VREF for that specific landing weight. In the sim, I don't know how they calculate it inside their little iPad, but it looks like it's pretty much grabbed the speeds for you. So weather, weights, and now you can grab your speed. We'll just press set all. Let me go ahead and unpause, and I'll press set all. So weather, weights, plates. So the last one's going to be your approach plates. So go ahead and get Navigraph running. And we're at Pearson. Just need charts. There we go. Whatever, this was being messy on me. There we go. Okay, approach. So obviously you would have had this done, by the way, in the cruise portion, hopefully, or maybe just as you're starting to descend. But I'm just showing this here because I just spawned here. But you'd have this stuff done before, and you'd briefed it before. So here we are. So weather, weights, plates. This is our approach plate, the ILS 24 left, right? You're going to set this up as you do. So Localizer is 11195. You can either tune them in here, or you can tune them in on your radio page. You can see they've already been set automatically, but you can, I would manually put those in, 1195, put them in there. Final approach course will be auto set for you by the aircraft. If it doesn't, just know that it is 237. Okay, and then another thing we can do with the plate is the MDA. So the decision altitude is 747, so we round up to 750. So we'll go ahead and this is our PFD. This is our EFIS control panel, so I'm going to go ahead and select this, the MDA, and click the center of this button, and now it won't work because I'm paused. There we go. So you can see that this blue MDA has popped up, and what we're going to do is scroll that to 750, which is our decision altitude that we've calculated. So let me go ahead and scroll this on up. Hopefully you probably can't see it, but I'll show you in a second. I'm just scrolling this mouse wheel forward to 750, and I'm slowing down as well. There we are, to a more reasonable speed. We're going to be a bit slower, actually, even more. So there's MDA 750, so that's been set on the right. I need to verify that the captain's set on the left as well. Hit set his own there. Add some power. Alright. And we're going to go back into the pause. So weather, weights, which allows you to get your speeds for landing. Plates. With the plate, you can do your frequencies. You can do your MDA, your decision altitude, so your MDA is set there. Okay. And then, with that as well, you can enter the information in for the HCP. I'm not going to cover that today, but we would do this in real life. This is our HUD control panel. So you'd plug the elevation into the runway, touchdown zone elevation, and we'd use the length as well of the runway. But it doesn't really work too well in the Aerosoft sim, so it's pointless to do that. And lastly, we would do the FMS. Again, this would all have been done in cruise. So we'll go ahead, put this plate maybe right there. Maybe like right there. Let's see if you can. Yeah, you can see it. Awesome. So we'll click departure arrival. But once more, YYZ arrival. Landing 3 has already been selected, so 24 left. We're going to choose via Cetra, just in case they give us a transition, or in case they give us Cetra, we already have it. We don't have to reprogram. Sometimes you can get caught if you choose vectors, and they say, yeah, turn left, direct Cetra, intercept ILS. Well, now you got to go in here and reprogram this whole thing for Cetra, which won't be great. So choose Cetra right at the beginning. If they give it to you, great. If they don't use it. So there you go, ILS 24 left Cetra. I'm not going to click execute. I'm going to press legs. Alrighty. So we're currently direct Dunvo, so I can bring that up to the top. Okay. This is still our star there. Actually, let me grab the correct one. There we go. So the approach, you can see this is the arrival, the Linning 3, or what's left of it anyways, Dunvo and Dunnel, and then it's vectored for the ILS 24 left. Okay, now if that doesn't make sense to you, let me show you the other chart real quick. So star, Linning 3 arrival on the 24s. I talked about this in my last video as well. If you haven't seen the last video, please go watch the last one to make more sense. So this is the Ling 3 arrival. Should stop saying Linning. It's Ling 3. You can see that it brings us right here. There's little arrows. After Dunnel, it becomes vectors. So you're vectored by ATC for the approach. So we leave that discontinuity. That discontinuity is telling the FMS, hey, there's nothing after Dunnel. That's on purpose. We need to be vectored in for an approach. So that's why that's there. That's why this discontinuity is there, because we're being vectored. We should be being vectored. So if you're on VATSIM, don't get rid of that. Okay, so approach starts at Cetra, 3,000 or above. That's fine. LISDO at 3,000. I'm going to make that a hard number. LISDO at 3. So I've got rid of the above. I got just directly LISDO at 3. That's where I want to be. CureX at 1970. That's checked. If it isn't whatever, if it's, let's say that's at 2000, check the CureX at 1970. You would type 1970 and you'd put it in like that. But it was already set. Okay, Menco, that's actually not on our approach, but I can add it as a fix later if I need to. And then runway 24 left, we plug our VREF speed in there. So I'll go to the iPad so you can see our ref speed is 139. The wind is calm, so we'll use 139 right on the dot. So 139, 24 left. Then it's into the missed approach. Runway heading. And you're going up to PEPVO to hold at PEPVO. And you would use your speed card to calculate your hold speed, but I'm just going to guesstimate 210. That's where we usually live. We would look through the approach. Right, yeah, 3,000, 970, I confirm with the other person. ref of 139, holding at PEPO at 210 in the miss approach, confirm, execute that. So we're good with that, and that's been set up properly now. So weather, weights, plates, FMS. Get the weather, you know what runway and approach you're choosing, or at least hopefully planning for. Weight, get your landing weight. Now in this airplane, it doesn't seem like you really need to do that because this kind of gives it to you already, but in real life you'd have to do that little thing I showed you where you get the fuel you're going to be landing with, or landed with, and then your current zero fuel weight, add them together, add your zero fuel weight plus this fuel number here. That gives you a landing weight, and then in turn you can grab your landing speeds, right? Because if you're heavier, those speeds are going to get higher. The slower you go, the slower these speeds. Or sorry, the lighter you are, the slower these speeds. The heavier you are, the faster these speeds. But this airplane does it for you. So weather, weights, plates, get the approach plate up, program with the approach plate. Once you've programmed your approach properly, so I just put a hard number in there. You can leave the A honestly, but I just did it so it appears LISDO 3000 there without an A, and the VNAV would calculate for it. CUREX, which is the glide path check, it's our FAP as well, 1970, ref of 139. This number doesn't matter at all. That actually usually isn't even there. Into the miss approach, holding at PEPO at 210. Okay, and then once that's confirmed, you can execute that once you're okay with it. So now let's continue flying, and we'll keep going. In real life, on the TCAS, you'd start to see airplanes usually in front being turned in around the Dunbo section at 3,000 feet or so. Actually, or even around here. And so you'd hear something like your airline's call sign, whatever you're flying, and then they'd say turn left 330 vectors for the ILS 24 left. Okay, I'm going to pause. This is an important section in the CRJ because it gets kind of busy. So as soon as they say turn here, turn where, whatever, vectors for the ILS, whatever runway you're using, in this case 24 left, this automatically starts to get some things, you have to do some things, sorry. So first thing is heading, sync, heading. So right now we're following FMS navigation. We're following what the FMS wants us to do. We're going direct to Dunbo. We've just been giving a heading. We've just been given a heading to 330. So the first thing I do, heading, sync, heading, and then I'll turn this to 330. I'll turn it hopefully so you can see. My zoom is not being nice to me. Okay, I'm going to go back into a pause. Right, so turn left, vectors, turn left 330, vectors for the ILS. Okay, as pilot flying, heading, sync, heading. All right, now we've got heading mode here. I've bugged 330 by turning the heading knob. That part's done. And now that we're vectored for the ILS and we're on radar vectors, I don't need this white part going Dunvo and Dunnel. I don't need that. We can clean the approach up a little bit. And I'll show you how we do that. It's called sequencing the FMS. But before we do that, we're going to do something else as well. We're going to put our navigation into green needles. Right now we're in white needle. We're in FMS navigation. We need to change ourselves to green needle, or ILS/VR navigation. So heading, sync, heading. We're in heading mode. We're going 330. We're on radar vectors for the ILS. I'm going to unpause. Go to this nav source. I'm going to scroll down towards me once. Now we're in the loc mode. Go on this guy. Scroll down on him once. Actually, inwards once. Okay, I'm going to pause again. The CRJ, the Aerosoft one, sometimes screws up. You can see the approach course has not been put in. In real life, it would have been put in with both frequencies there, but I'll just manually put that in with the course knob right here. Can I turn it while it's... No, I'll have to unpause. I'll do it very quickly. 237. I do want to talk a bit more before. Here we go. 237. Pause. Okay, so I'm going to keep going back and forth because it is a lot of stuff. So we'll go back to the clearance. The clearance was turn left heading 330, vectors for the ILS 24 left. That's what ATC would say. Your pilot monitoring would respond with the readback if it's acceptable. As pilot flying, once you hear vectors for the ILS, right? Heading, sync, heading. The reason we do heading sync is because it's very easy to click heading first. And if you haven't synced it, your heading indicator might be somewhere completely, or heading bug, sorry, might be completely somewhere off, and you'll start turning the opposite way. And then you bug 330 and you start turning the other way again. So it just makes it simple. If you're heading sync, so it's all right on the nose, then click heading. So you're not going to turn anywhere, and then you start scrolling your knob. Heading sync heading, turn to 330. We're being radar vectored, so I'd say green needles. All right, we both go to green needles, course 237, course 237. All right, then I'd ask my pilot monitoring to sequence the approach in this case. So to sequence the approach, I'm going to grab the very first waypoint in the approach. Now I'm going to get rid of Cetra because we're being radar vectored. He's not going to use Cetra, so we'll get rid of Cetra now. I'll grab Lizdu, and I'll show you this on the chart here. Hopefully it didn't go away. It did go away. That's okay. I'll get it back here. Approach. 24 left. Okay. So Lizdu's right there. Cetra's an extra one that they add as a transition. It's not used too much, but we just added in just in case ATC needs you to go direct Cetra for any case. But now that we're being radar vectored, I'll get rid of Cetra because we're not going to fly this way and then come back left. So we're going to grab Lizdu. Right, and on the approach, Lizdu is this guy right there, right here. So I'm going to get rid of Cetra. We grab Lizdu. I'm going to go put that here. I'll go previous page. I'm going to get rid of all this. I'm going to sort it right at the very second from the top. So I've gotten rid of that star from Link 3. I've gotten rid of all that stuff. I've gotten rid of Cetra, and now I'm starting the approach's mind at Lizdu. Just as a visual reference. But we're not done yet. Notice how, one, I haven't executed it, and two, notice how there's a line being drawn to Lizdu. That's a direct line. We don't really want that. We just want a straight line from the runway. So the last thing I'll have to do is put the intercept course. So we just put the runway course of 237. Lizdu at 237. Okay, and once I press execute, Cetra should get deleted. These two waypoints should get deleted. And in real life, that giant line isn't there, but it would. In real life, it starts from Lizdu onwards. Execute that. So those waypoints are gone. Cetra's gone. And again, in real life, just pretend that we're starting from this point onwards. That whole giant line would not be there. Okay, so turn left 330 vectors for the ILS. Heading sync heading. Turn your knob to 330, right? And I should mention, anytime you press anything up here, verify in the FMA that it's been selected. Don't just click a bunch of things. So heading sync heading, verify it's in heading mode, then turn to 330. Green needles, green, right? Sequence the FMS, grab the first waypoint in the approach that you're going to be going to. Throw it up to the top, intercept heading of the runway course, in this case 237, execute, and now we're good. That happens all that time, and that's why it's really good to have two people in this airplane. The next thing we're going to be looking for, or looking out to here, is a further left turn, maybe, or more importantly, the cleared to intercept, or cleared for the approach, ILS 24 left, and they can also give you intercept localizer 24 left. We're going to look at both of them. So if they said in this case turn left 310 or 300, intercept localizer 24 left, first thing is I'm already in heading mode, so I can turn this to 300, right? I continue that turn, that's fine. But if you arm approach, you'd arm the localizer and the glide slope. Let me go ahead and show you that. So if I go approach, I'll pause that. You can see it says Loc 2 glide slope. But we have not been cleared to intercept the glide slope in my fake little clearance. We've been cleared to intercept the localizer only for the 24 left. So in this case, in green needles as we are ready, I'd actually click nav. I'll pause it again. You can see Loc 1 armed, and there's no glide slope section. So that's how you intercept the localizer only in the CRJ. Green needles, with an ILS tuned, you click nav, and you get Loc 1. Actually, let's just say Loc 2. But anyways, oh wait, let's click that for later. But yeah, it should say Loc 2 and Loc 1 on the other side. Either way, that's how you can grab a localizer only by clicking nav. If you want to intercept a localizer and a glide slope, you click approach. So intercept localizer 24 left, nav. Cleared for the approach 24 left, or intercept ILS 24 left, approach. Okay, so that's how we do that. Let's go ahead and say they said turn left 300, intercept ILS 24 left. So turn left to 300, arm the approach. Right? And now we're turning. We have Loc and glide slope armed. I'm going to just make this manual because I don't want it to switch on me. Okay, and at this part we're going to go flap 1. Got a little slow in my explaining here. Okay, 1's selected. We'll go 8. Flap 8, I should say. You can see, you can always confirm that it's selected here. Okay, and we're going to slow to 180. You'll find a lot at this airport at Pearson, they'll give you a speed restriction like 170 to Curix, or they'll give you speeds to the FAF. But we'll keep it simple. Say further left turn 280, intercept, still clear to intercept ILS. I'm just getting myself back here, so I'm not good at vectors, so that's why I'm not ATC. Okay, I'm gonna pause right there. So, something happened, right? Loc went from white to green. So we've captured the localizer. What that basically means is, if I bring up this little chart for you, is we were on heading mode going this way, right? But the airplane's smart enough, that because it's armed, that as soon as it starts to get close to the signal of this ILS straight line beam here, it's going to start turning in and capture the localizer. Localizer is left and right course. Glide slope is vertical descent course. So right now we've captured the localizer, right? Loc green, glide slope is still armed. The glide slope is still armed because our green glide slope needle right here is still above us. That's what we want. Right now it's saying, hey, you're really low, right? And that's fine. We're level at 3,000. As we get closer, this dot's going to move closer and closer to the center. Once it gets to the center, the glide slope goes green, or it should go green, and it'll capture. So I'm going to continue. The airplane's going to fly under the localizer by itself. Right, we're maintaining 180 knots. I'm going to change my heading with my heading indicator to 237 to match runway heading in case of a missed approach. Alright, I'm going to pause here. You can see our glide slope has moved down a little bit. We're now 1 dot above the center. Okay, so 1 dot above is most people, some airplanes like half a dot above. This airplane, what we do is 1 dot above. We bring the gear down and we complete our landing checks. So you can do it earlier if you'd like. You're just having more drag. And if you do it later, that's okay too. It's just a bit of a rush. So I'll unpause. We're at the landing gear down portion. So we're half dot above, gear down, and we do some landing checks that I won't show you today. But what we would do is grab the reversers on as well. Okay. Let's go ahead. If we haven't been given a speed restriction, I would go flap 20. Right, you can see 20 there, and I'd slow to the next speed, usually about 160 or so. So I'll dial in 160 on my speed knob. I'm just slowly coming down. You can see the diamond has got through the center. We have glide slope captured. Alright, now the gear helps, and the extra flap helps with that descent right now that we're allowed to slow down. Right? So let me pause there. I'll kind of redo everything we've just done in words, and hopefully it works out, but maybe I could do it with the chart actually. So out here, you're on the FMS navigation, just on the star, right? And they'll say, hey, turn left 330, vectors for the ILS 24 left. Okay, heading, sync heading, turn to 330, whatever heading they give you. Right, now you're about here-ish. Green needles, green, green, right, left side. Sequence the FMS, sequence around here-ish. And they'll say turn left 30, whatever heading, turn left 300, intercept ILS 24 left. We're cleared for the approach, so I'll use that kind of verbiage. Okay, so we'll go the FMS already sequence, approach mode armed. You'll have Loc and Glideslope armed. You'll get closer. You'll capture the localizer. Right, you'll start turning onto the beam. Right, then you wait till 1 dot above. Gear down. Accomplish any landing checklist you have at the time. You have some. I think Aerosoft does have a landing checklist you can use. All right, and then glide slope capture. We can grab an extra flap 20 as well, and we'll start slowing down even more. That's kind of the whole rundown. It happens really quick. I should mention very quickly, this airplane is capable of auto changing your needles from white to green, but I'd like for you to get in the habit of manually switching it from white to green, because the NG variant of this airplane will auto switch, but in real life you don't always fly an NG, so it's just good to be in the habit of just, this one's kind of a more complicated one. I'd practice this version first, and then you can do the auto variant later. It'll auto switch to green for you once it captures the localizer. It'll go from white to green for you. Okay, so now we're going to continue on this approach. Alright, we're selected at flap 20, the gear is down, let's go flap 30, we'll slow to 156. Okay, and we're confirmed in 30, we're at about a, that's not correct, we're at about a 6 mile final, I don't know how, we're 27 from Pearson, the pause sometimes screws it up. Alright, we'll go flap 45 and we'll bug our VREF speed of 139. Now, I'm not changing my power that much. As I add the flap, it adds a lot of drag, right? So you can see it's very just slowly coming down. Right? If I need to decrease a bit more, I'll decrease my power a little bit more. But now we're glide path captured, and we're on the localizer. So if I look up, there's the runway right there, 24 left, right? I'm going to add my power to maintain 139 in the bucket there. It's nice to be, if you're going to be off of the speed, be slightly high. You don't really want to be ever slightly slow, because slow means... low and slow can lead to problems. Legs page down there. Okay, we're also in the glide slope. You'd verify the missed approach altitude is set, which it is, 3,000 feet. Right, because even if I change, notice if I change the altitude, no matter where I put it, the glide slope is still captured, no matter where I touch that altitude. So that's good, and we're looking pretty good, right? And that's pretty much it. Now this video will lead you into the landing video. Now I do recognize that it's on a different runway, however, the procedure is the exact same to get this aircraft on the approach like that. I was trying to bring up this. I should have been more clear as well. In this kind of base to final portion is when we usually start dirtying up. So flap 1, 190 knots, flap 8, 180 knots. Right, then we get the localizer and the gear and all that kind of stuff. So this is usually when we grab the flap to 8 in this portion, unless we've been speed restricted for some reason very high, which would be a little weird, but I should have mentioned that before. And yeah, so we're looking pretty good. They'd say, you know, clear to land runway 24 left. And with that clear to land, nose light would come on, landing light would come on in the daytime, one single one there. That's it. You can take the autopilot off as your whenever your heart desires. What I should mention is do not use the autopilot disconnect on the autopilot panel. That is an emergency one. The one we use is actually on our yoke. That red button on the left there, that's our autopilot disconnect. And that is the one we press. We press it once to disengage the autopilot. Check, and we press it a second time to get rid of the audio warning. So it sounds like this, and once again to clear the warning. Okay, and you'll notice I'm not changing my power too much. I'm just flying these flight directors on in. I don't know how much you can see of this, but I'm on a different monitor size that I'm recording on. Landing, visual calls anyways though. Okay, look all the way down the runway. A little bit of rudder. Okay, you'd bring the reverse out, which I don't have mapped. You'd fly the nose down and manual wheel braking. Okay, so that's a bit of a taste of a landing. Not my best, not my worst. Everyone's still alive. I call that good. And I'll get a bit more on center line there. I'm just going to come to a stop on the runway and end the video about here. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do have a landing tutorial as well, which kind of talks a lot more about what I just did there. And hopefully you go watch that. Hopefully you've watched the descent video, which leads you to this. So I have a descent, approach, and landing video. And hope this video helps. If it does, please leave a like and let me know that it helped in the comments. Feel free to leave a comment as well with your Discord name if you want to chat on Discord, and we can chat on there as well. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and yeah, stay tuned. I'll be making some more.